Members, the President.
Orders of the day.
Order of the day number 1, resumption of debate on the question that the University of Tasmania Protection of Land Bill 2025, Bill number 58 of 2025, be read the second time. Mr Edmonds.
The Honourable Member for Pembroke.
Thank you, Mr President. I didn't notice the delays from the clerk to check that but I have finished my remarks.
Question is the bill be now read the second time. The Honourable Minister for Education. In reply.
Thank you very much, Mr President. And can I start by thanking members for their contributions, really thoughtful contributions, and you can see that a great amount of work has gone into scrutiny of this piece of legislation, and I'm grateful for that. Our team, I do want to thank our team, both from the University and of course from the Department, who have done a really great job in answering as many of the questions as we were able to capture through the second reading stage, and I'll certainly do my best to address those in my reply. I'd like to start by thanking the member for McIntyre, just acknowledging your contribution, and I do note your comments that the issue is not just about the sale of land above Churchill Avenue, it's about the future direction of higher education in Tasmania, the stewardship of public assets, the economic vitality of our capital city, and the accessibility of education to current and future students. The Honourable Member for Mersey had a number of questions. First, there was concern about holes in the business case and opposition from the community. So the government has confidence in the business case of the university, including the ability to realise significant capital funding from the redevelopment of the area. The benefit of the proposal, however, extends well beyond the interests of the university and the STEM precinct. New higher density housing on this site is a benefit for the entire city and state. The Hobart City Council's own discussion paper on the Mount Nelson and Sandy Bay show that Hobart is in need of higher density housing. The Honourable Member for Mersey also spoke about the move to the new building, that it would be a more expensive and suboptimal option compared to upgrading the existing facilities, and the sale of the land is not its best use. Advice from Professor Eric Wopstrup from the University of Tasmania was clear that Sandy Bay needs to change. The current layout and the condition of existing buildings does not allow the university to deliver for its students or drive the innovation Tasmania needs. Simply upgrading the existing life sciences building does not deliver a new vision for STEM in Tasmania. It just sustains the existing one, and that is not working with student numbers in decline and well below what the state needs. There was also a question with regard to there's no guarantee that the rezoned land will be used for anything else. The state will be working actively with the university to ensure that value is realised from this land and that the outcome is a positive one for Tasmania. There was also comments around not everybody wants the building. The new buildings, and I do accept that comment. However, students, and I believe that there needs to be some weight added to the voice of our students, and our students absolutely want fit-for-purpose, functional spaces and the equipment that they need to develop skills for a modern workplace and economy. So specific examples of modern technical infrastructure missing in Sandy Bay include things like advanced laboratory facilities, and that's including dry and wet laboratories, or STEM-specific laboratory equipment, modern microscopes, spectrometers, gene sequencers, things like that. Also, lacking critical infrastructure poses significant risks to the state economic growth, innovation capacity and long-term competitiveness. The university has clearly shown that an investment in contemporary state-of-the-art facilities does translate to increased enrolment. We saw that on the Northwest Coast with a 120% increase in local enrolments following the redevelopment of the Cradle Coast campus. Contemporary buildings will also attract more high-calibre researchers. The Honourable Member for Launceston, thank you very much for your comments about the important role of modern fit-for-purpose buildings in both supporting the learning objectives and the experiences of students. There was commentary in your second reading speech about students disengaging when they are frustrated by outdated facilities, or worse, they can't get access to the equipment that they need because it doesn't exist. And I think we are seeing that in the declining enrolments. Who wouldn't try to get to the university with the best environment for learning? I did appreciate, oh, she's not here. I did appreciate her comments about dabbling in AI. Always interesting, and we can get that answer from AI, or we can take those lessons from the STEM precinct business case. Contemporary facilities are not just nice to have, they're about strengthening capacity, and they're about driving innovation, and they're about supporting growth, and that is what Tasmania needs. Could I just have some water, please, Carrie? The Honourable Member for Hobart had some questions around Parliament being asked to act as a planning authority. The government is satisfied that the University of Tasmania has done the work, including the technical and planning advice, thank you, from the Hobart City Council to provide suitable planning outcomes for the parcels of land above Churchill Avenue. And we do note that other universities have used the capital from land sales for improving their educational facilities, and that's including the University of Canberra. The Honourable Member for Hobart also asked, where did this amendment come from? The university proposed Clause 7. It was developed as a compromise solution that would meet the needs of both the state and the university. It secures the campus for education and provides a funding pathway to deliver a vision for a new STEM precinct. The state government supports this vision and is committed to working with the university to deliver it. The Honourable Member for Hobart also spoke about competing with sandstone universities. Modern universities are driven by the need to solve global challenges, responding to changing student needs and lifelong learning. What we heard from Professor Wapstra, I keep saying it wrong, my apologies, Professor Wapstra, that the Sandy Bay campus is heavily underutilised with current STEM facilities spread too thinly across the campus. This is not a positive experience for students. The new STEM facilities provide both the facilities and the student experience of learning on a modern, vibrant and engaging campus. The Honourable Member for Elwick, I note the Honourable Member's concerns about the planning process, but the government is satisfied that the work has been done and that the proposal to rezone this land as inner residential is both responsible and creates a path to positive future for the university and the state. To satisfy ourselves, we have considered the All Urban Planning Report into the University of Tasmania's proposal as it relates to this land, and we've considered the master plan as it relates to this land, and we've also considered the Hobart City Council discussion paper on the Mount Nelson and Sandy Bay Neighbourhood Plan from 2023 and the engagement report in 2024. We satisfied ourselves that the university has been working with the Hobart City Council planners and that they had no concerns with the proposed zoning. We've made sure that our State Planning Office also has no concerns. All of this work told us that the rezoning of this land to inner residential is appropriate for the broader needs of Hobart and Tasmania and not just the university. Then there was the contribution from the Honourable Member for Nelson around that this proposal should have a business case. This proposal is supported not only by a full business case, or 157 pages of it, but through the UTAS master plan and concept plan developed with input from staff, students, the Hobart City Council, other stakeholders and the community. The honourable member also asked, where did the amendment come from? I do object to references that the circumstances surrounding Section 7 of this bill are in some way murky. The university proposed Clause 7. It was developed as a compromise solution that would meet the needs of both the state and the university, and it secures the campus, as I've already said, for education, and it does provide a funding pathway to deliver a vision for a new STEM precinct, and the state government supports this vision, and we are committed to working with the university to deliver it. There was also commentary in the honourable member's contribution around claims of no involvement of the Hobart City Council, and I need to refute the claims by the honourable member for Nelson that there has been no involvement of the Hobart City Council. This is simply untrue. The University of Tasmania has engaged with the Hobart City Council at every stage of the development of its master plan and the consultations surrounding the Mount Nelson and Sandy Bay Neighbourhood Plan. Hobart City Council has advised that it provided planning and technical support to the University of Tasmania and that it had no concerns with the proposed zoning of this land as inner residential. The inner residential zoning does not mean the whole site will be developed as inner residential, but allows the flexibility for the university to explore a broad suite of development options. There will be parts of the site that are easier to develop than others, and that's normal. The ultimate design of the site will depend on the topography, infrastructure capacity and hazards and values. Concerns were raised with the proposed zoning potentially impacting on other strategic planning decisions, with the potential to distort the overall density of this area. The government considers this rezoning can actually support the current strategic planning work being undertaken by the City of Hobart. Many commentators and experts of recent have highlighted the need for more infill development in Hobart, particularly identifying areas where higher density development can go. This is particularly important in the current economic climate with cost of living and housing pressures. More urban sprawl only adds to the cost of living pressures and creates more issues for our roads and the cost of delivering the necessary infrastructure and services. The suitability of this land for residential development has been considered in detail across many studies prepared by UTAS. The site has attributes that make it suitable for the inner residential zone. For example, the site is close to employment and a wide range of services offered by the Hobart CBD and Sandy Bay shops. It also has good access to regular public transport on Churchill Avenue and Sandy Bay Road. It's obviously well serviced by a range of educational facilities, and that's across primary, secondary and tertiary levels. The existing development on the site already demonstrates its suitability for the level of development expected in the inner residential zone. It is also consistent with the zoning of land immediately to the north of the site, reflecting the denser housing pattern in Sandy Bay and proximity to services. This is entirely consistent with the recently made Tasmanian planning policies, which encourage the prioritisation of infill development and redevelopment and intensification of underutilised land over further expansion at the urban periphery. And furthermore, it is a location with ready access of services, including community, health and education facilities, public transport and employment. The honourable member also made reference to Section 7, subsection 9. I think you might have actually said subsection 8, but I think you were referring to subsection 9. This section of the bill is necessary to allow the council to manage this land in the same way that it manages all other land within the municipality. I'm sure there will be future changes to the planning system, including modifications to the zones, and this section ensures that there is no impediment to the zoning of this land being updated at some point in the future. There was also questions around neighbourhood plan and engagement report. I welcome the honourable member's reference to the Mount Nelson and Sandy Bay Neighbourhood Report and Engagement Report, but I'm not clear why the member has suggested that we did not refer to it. Indeed, sections of the Engagement Report were read out in the briefing to members, and I'll certainly read it back in today. The challenge is meeting the growing demand for smaller, more accessible dwellings that are located in proximity to services, transport and social network. This is what is being delivered by the university's proposal and what is being supported by this bill.
I meant the overwhelming bits that were against what you're proposing.
You also mentioned, I believe I've got the call, Mr President. There was also mention of funding, and there's been a lot of commentary around the Commonwealth funding and whether it will be secured. And I'd like to point out that the University of Tasmania has a very strong record of securing capital investment in modern education facilities around the state. Our university has delivered over $1 billion in projects across Tasmania just in the last decade, and they've all required extensive negotiations within governments, including Commonwealth, state and local governments. The honourable member also spoke about the seismic station. The seismic station is located above Churchill Avenue. It was first installed in the 1960s by the United States government, and it is one of 6 to 7 across Tasmania. It is still maintained by the US through the University of California, San Diego. The University of Tasmania does not use it for research purposes. The facility is relatively small and consists of similar infrastructure to protect the equipment from the weather and wind. Its size makes moving the facility to a more ideal location a viable option for the future. And the university has consulted with internal and external stakeholders, and that's including the University of California, San Diego. There was also mention from the honourable member about the ranking of the university. I agree with the honourable member for Nelson that the university's ranking for plant science is fantastic, but I'm also concerned about enrolments. Enrolment in key STEM subjects are falling sharply. There is little value in a positive international reputation when we can't fill our courses. It's also a concern that based on 2024 STEM commencement figures, it's estimated that Tasmania will be around 170 STEM graduates short each year from the level required to maintain our qualified workforce. And that's today's workforce. We know STEM demands are increasing across our economy. The honourable member for Nelson also suggested that there is no material to support the statement that the current facilities are not fit for purpose and that they are impacting on student enrolments, and that simply is not true. This issue is covered in some detail on pages 52 and 53 of the STEM business case. This issue was also covered in some detail by Professor Wopstra and Pro Vice-Chancellor Arts and Society Nicholas Farrelly in the briefing to members. The honourable member for Montgomery spoke about no consultation on the zoning of the land. The government has sought advice from Hobart City Council officials on the suitability of the proposed zoning of the land. Council officials advised that they had provided technical and planning advice to the university and had no concerns with the proposed zoning of this land as in residential. There was also, you spoke also about the value of the land. The land was valued based on the experience of land sales in the area. The government agrees that there is further work to do to identify the preferred strategies for the development of the land. The land is, however, highly suitable for development given its location and proximity to services. It also has good access to regular public transport. You spoke about the initiation of Section 7, and as mentioned previously in replying to the member for Hobart and the member for all the members, I think, that was in response to the university putting forward those proposed changes. You talked about moving facilities. As I noted previously, the University of Tasmania advises that the current campus is heavily underutilised and that a precinct will consolidate all services onto the lower campus. You also had questions around no planning advice. I acknowledge the member for Montgomery's reference to independent planning advice, but do not agree that there has been no planning advice. The All Urban Planning Report absolutely included planning advice about the suitability of the inner residential zone for one of these parcels and in part for the other. That advice did suggest some areas to be zoned general residential, and as noted previously, the government confirmed that Hobart City Council planners were engaged in this process and they provided technical and planning advice. We also confirmed that the Hobart City Council has no concerns with the change of the general residential zone to inner residential. So there has been planning advice embedded in this process, and the government is satisfied that the work has been done and the planning outcome is an entirely appropriate one.
Just a clarification.
Member for
When the Minister says the Hobart City Council has no concern, does she mean the paid staff in the planning division, or does she mean the elected members of the Hobart City Council? You have to be careful about terminology here. I think we're not misrepresenting.
The advice that I have is that we've received advice from the Hobart City Council. In response to the member for Murchison, the honourable member for Murchison, thank you very much for your contribution. You had some questions. Is the inner residential a holding zone? I think that was in relation to clause 7, subsection 9. That is not what is intended. The government considers that this land is appropriately zoned as inner residential. However, it is appropriate that once the land has been rezoned, the land is treated like any other parcel of land in the planning system. This subsection ensures that this Act does not prevent the Council rezoning the land in the future through the normal processes outlined in the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act of 1993. This is important as we cannot predict the future structure of the planning scheme or decisions that could be made regarding an alternate use of the land. All land in Tasmania is subject to future rezoning through an application to the Tasmanian Planning Commission from the relevant council. You also spoke about the future use of the land for university purposes. So I do note your reference to the future use of land for educational purposes. And while the member is absolutely correct, it is worth noting for the record that the planning laws enable existing uses on the land to continue, even if prohibited by the rezoning. So this allows them to continue to be operating until an alternate facility is actually developed. You also asked what conversations has the government had with the Commonwealth. So Infrastructure Tasmania has met with Infrastructure Australia on the 10th and the 18th of March 2026 on the changes to the infrastructure priority list. A more detailed briefing on their evaluation with UTAS has been requested and they are awaiting a response. IA has advised the project remains on its website as the project under evaluation list, and the state will work with them on alignment to their updated approach. Our government is also looking into other federal funding avenues, and this will continue to be explored with UTAS. Mr President, just before I finish up, I would like to also briefly address claims raised by the Honourable Member for Nelson outside this chamber about land above Churchill Avenue, just to provide some clarity to the House. There is no proposal under this bill to rezone, sell or lease the bushland above Churchill Avenue. This bill does two things. It turns land below Churchill Avenue into vested land and identifies only two specific parcels above Churchill Avenue for rezoning to inner residential. I'm advised that around 50 hectares of the Honourable Member refers to is predominantly bushland reserve and has been the subject of land return discussions with the Aboriginal Land Council of Tasmania since at least 2024, and earlier still following the University's 2019 apology to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. None of this is new or secret. It has been publicly referenced, including in the Member for Hobart's contribution. It's been acknowledged in the STEM business case and consistently understood as land intended for for return, not development. The land in question is also subject to Commonwealth environmental protections. This government does not believe Parliament should stand in the way of land return discussions with the Aboriginal community. That is why the bill does not seek to turn already protected bushland into vested land. As I indicated in my second reading speech, there are only 2 parcels of land that are exempt, which we are looking to rezone. The bushland above Churchill has been excluded deliberately and appropriately from the bill because it has been earmarked for a land handback. Vested land applies to the land below Churchill Avenue, and the university has been consistent in this regard, and so has the government. Nothing has changed.
Mr President, is this the Minister correcting the record on her incorrect statement in her second reading speech, which I quote, this is to prevent the university from disposing of campus land at Sandy Bay without the approval of both Houses of Parliament. There are only 2 parcels of land exempt, which we are looking to rezone. That's an incorrect statement from the second reading speech, Mr President. Is the Minister correcting it?
That's a point of order.
Indeed, Mr President. I'm looking for clarification about whether the Minister's correcting it.
The Minister may want to seek advice on that.
I'll just seek some advice.
Yes, yep, certainly. Honourable Minister.
No, I'm not correcting the record. I don't believe my statements were incorrect. Mr President, before I finish up again, I would just like to thank members for their contribution, and I'd also like to thank the community. There's been great discussion in the community, and I've certainly appreciated my engagement with those that I've spoken to directly. But I would like to give the final word to actually one of our Tasmanian students, and I note the member for Pembroke also referenced this in his contribution, and that is, of course, the voice of the Tasmanian University Student Association, and Jack Oates Pryor, who is the president of that association. And I do quote, "Students remain supportive of the university's plans for a STEM campus at Sandy Bay. We continue to call on the university, the community and all levels of government to back and support strong improvements to our outdated learning and research facilities. Crucially, students have been involved in discussions of a new STEM precinct from the outset. Unlike past capital works, the university is not simply consulting after the decision, but rather co-designing these spaces with those who will use it most. This valuing of students' expertise ensures quality of experience within the precinct. The alternative to backing STEM at Sandy Bay is an incredibly poor one for Tasmania's future. Students of all ages need this precinct to be supported and developed collaboratively." Mr President, I commend the bill to the House.
Question is that the bill be now read the second time. Those of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no.
No.
I think the ayes have it.
Divided.
Division required. Ring the bells. Oh, thanks. Order, all members being present, stop the bells, lock the doors. Question is that the bill be now read the second time. Those of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no.
No.
Council will divide. The ayes will pass to the right of the chair. The noes will pass to the left of the chair. I appoint the Honourable Member for Windermere teller for the ayes and the Honourable Member for Hobart teller for the noes.
Let me see. So, you are Mr. Hiscott, Miss Thomas, O'Connor, Harris, it's a Dudman, Gavin, and Webb. So you just got to check and double check. Sit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the nose is 6. And you got that. What do you got?
8.
You look so pleased with yourself.
What have you got?
6.
6. That's not enough.
Well, thank you. I think it was still the right way to vote.
Thank you. Thank you. Order. The result of the division is ayes 8, noes 6. So I declare the division is resolved in the affirmative. Would honourable members please return to their seats?
Assault on me by Mr. Harris.
Well, I was thinking the opposite, actually.
Well,
A bill for an act to ensure that certain land vested in the University of Tasmania is not disposed of without the prior approval of both Houses of Parliament, and to consequentially amend the University of Tasmania Act 1992.
Honourable Minister for Education.
Mr President, I move that the Council does resolve itself into a committee to further consider the bill.
Question is that the Council do resolve into a committee to further consider the bill and that I do now leave the chair. Those of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it.
What version is it done upon? Sorry? Is it 11:55 a.m.?
Thanks, Deputy Clerk. Oh, hang on, because
I think she still had another version as well.
I know the member for Nelson did circulate a revised set of amendments. They're just being circulated now, so members have got a hard copy. Okay, just so we're all working to the same set of amendments, yeah?
Yep. So we circulated by email a while ago, yeah, as well.
Clauses 1 and 2.
The question is the clause as read stand part of the bill. Those that opinion say aye.
Aye.
Against no. The ayes have it.
Clause 3.
Young Member for Nelson.
Thank you. So clause 3, page 4, definition of dispose, paragraph I, or 1, after, not less than, leave out 99 years, insert instead 30 years. So, members, now that we have the bill going forward into committee stage, our job here is to be asking ourselves, are there things about this bill that need to be adjusted or improved or made more clear? So that's what I'm going to ask you to consider the amendments I'm putting forward on that basis, regardless of whether you've supported the bill or not in the to date in the debate. So this is a fairly straightforward one. We're looking at the interpretation of what dispose means in this Act, and therefore, in relation to vested land, what the university would need to bring to Parliament to get approval for in terms of disposing of it and what is included in that. Remembering that bringing it to Parliament doesn't stop it happening, it's just an extra check and balance on whatever's going to happen under this dispose. So the proposal I'm making with the amendment relates to in the list there of definitions of dispose, I is a lease for a term of not less than 99 years currently. I'm proposing we reduce that period to 30 years. So the effect of that would be if the university wanted to lease any of the vested land under the bill for a period of more than 30 years or 30 years or more, it would need to come through Parliament for additional approval. There's a fairly straightforward rationale for that you can probably see. 99 years is a very, very long time. It's a multi-generational commitment and decision that's been made that hasn't come to Parliament. It's very close to the effect of selling the land, essentially, because if you were to give somebody a 99-year lease, they could get but they could have borrowing capacity based on that and develop it and do permanent things to the land. And it's a very significant potential change that hasn't then come through Parliament if the lease is something close to 99 years. So I think that's against the intent of the bill and the promise that the government made initially back in 2024 to the community about bringing this bill forward to ensure that there was a parliamentary oversight over the Sandy Bay campus land. 30-year cap aligns with ordinary commercial practices for major leases. It's consistent also with the sorts of arrangements that are in other jurisdictions' university legislation and the limits that they put on what can be done without parliamentary or executive government approval. The shorter term means that we preserve some parliamentary sovereignty over this in terms of having a look at it. So it still doesn't mean that if the university wants to do a lease, say, of 40 years, doesn't mean they can't do it. It just means it comes through Parliament and they make a case for it and Parliament considers it on the behalf of the Tasmanian people, because what we're talking about is land gifted by the Tasmanian people and for the use of the university for the benefit of Tasmanian people. 30 years is still ample security for genuine campus-related commercial partnerships that they might enter into, whether it's student housing or research or services or other partnership arrangements with industry. A 99-year threshold is not necessary to ensure that the university can engage in those sorts of operations on vested land if they wish to. I think there's an open question here, and we can come to this in questions on this section if this amendment doesn't come up, but there'd be an open question of if there's this requirement that not less than 99 years, perhaps you could have a 98-year lease and then you could have another 98-year lease and then you could have, and we'd have vested land essentially permanently disposed of, but never having come through under the intent of this Act, the stated intent of the Act, never having come through Parliament. So that's my fairly straightforward description of what this amendment is trying to do and why it's trying to do it. It's entirely reasonable to reduce this period of time from 99 years down to 30 years. It aligns commercially. It provides plenty of opportunity for the university to use that vested land in all kinds of ways without having to come to Parliament with leases less than 30 years, because 30 years is still a really long lease period. And it ensures that the intent of the bill is maintained by having a parliamentary look at proposals beyond 30 years. So I hope members consider this amendment to be reasonable and to be aligned with the intent of the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll be obviously supporting this amendment because this is the amendment.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. But this was the amendment that was moved in the Assembly by my colleague, the Honourable Member for Clark, Vicar Bailey, on the basis that it represents the interests of the people who ultimately own this land, that is the Tasmanian people, and unarguably before that, Palawa people. It, as the Honourable Member for Nelson said, doesn't preclude a 99-year lease from being entered into. It just means it comes back to Parliament if it's a lease of over 30 years.